Hello and welcome to Kaiju Review.
A couple videos back, we peeled the curtain back a little bit by revealing that we usually film these videos at the beginning of each month.
Today we'll be revealing a bit more by telling you that we usually select these movies to cover 6 months to a year ahead of time.
The last couple videos, including this one, have elements relating to current events, albeit incredibly tenuous ones.
The Zayarth video had hand washing, Nausicaa had respirator mask, and this one, what we'll be doing today, have police officers.
These elements were not picked to be topical and are purely coincidental.
With that said, we hope you enjoyed this video.
Today we'll be talking about the 1954 classic, Them!
Them?
Them.
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 Let's get to it.
While police are investigating a report in the New Mexico desert, a little girl is spotted wandering alone. The girl doesn't respond when Police Sergeant Ben Peterson tries to talk to her. The pilot aiding the police spots a trailer that he tells the officers to take a look at.
What's in the trailer? Ben and the trooper that aids him, Ed Blackburn, find a trailer torn open, and though they find a gun and blood, they also find money, ruling out a robbery. They also find the broken piece of the girl's doll, as well as sugar cubes.
That'll be important, I promise.
They also find a strange imprint in the sand. With further investigation is being considered, they hear a strange noise which causes the little girl to wake up. When the noise dies down, she lays back down and she's taken to the hospital.
Ben and Ed head to the nearby general store, only to find the place an abandoned mess just like the trailer. They also find an unfinished dinner and a radio still on, as well as a broken rifle, but the money is still in the register. They then find the owner of the store dead in the basement, as well as ant-covered sugar.
See? Told you it was important! Ben heads out to report to headquarters about the new crime scene, leaving Ed behind, and when he hears the strange noise from a distance, he goes outside to investigate something that possibly has killed him. Back at the station, Ben is upset that the trooper has died, but even with all the investigating, the police can't find very much to solve the case. They suspect a homicidal maniac, but they can't find a report of any escaping from the nearby asylum. The chief tells Ben the missing owner of the trailer has been an FBI agent on vacation and tells him to investigate again.
Another FBI agent, Robert Graham, arrives to join the investigation, and he asks about the strange print, but is told even a zoologist was unable to identify it. A doctor arrives to report on the autopsy of the dead store owner, and the dead man had enough formic acid in him to kill 10 men. Ben and Bob are sent to meet with a pair of myrmecologists, Dr. Harold Medford and his daughter, Pat, when they arrive by airplane.
So are they going to find out what's going on or what?
They're working on it!
Going over all the clues they found regarding the case, Harold asks where the first atomic bomb was tested in New Mexico desert. The two doctors take charge of the investigation, with Ben and Bob tagging along because it's their case as well. Harold examines the girl who's still catatonic, and he has her smell some formic acid, which causes her to freak out and shout out, "Them!"
Wait, so who is them? Where is them? What is them?
We don't know yet.
Well, then why'd you even bring it up? They investigate where the trailer was found, and Harold asks if a mound was found near the crime scene. Pat and her father start talking cryptically, resulting in Bob and Pat arguing a little because they're keeping him and Ben in the dark. Harold finds another strange print and speculates the thing responsible for it is over 8 feet tall. Bob demands to know what the Medfords are talking about, and Harold reveals that if he's wrong, then there's nothing to worry about. But if he's right, what he thinks could cause a panic.
When Pat finds another of the prints, they hear the strange noise again. They discover a gigantic thing. Ben and Bob shoot at the monster, and Harold tells them to shoot at the antennae. They manage to shoot the antennae. Ben ends up using a machine gun, spraying the giant creature with bullets, killing it. Harold tells the men that the creature is a giant ant, likely the result of the atomic bomb testing in the desert. Last month we did a movie about insects, and now this month we're doing a movie about insects. I just think it's a little funny. They realize the creature was responsible for the destruction they previously encountered, and that there are more of them out there, and they're probably riled up over one of their own dead.
While searching for the nests of the giant ants, Harold speculates that while there could be hundreds, if not thousands of the ants, there may not be that many, and that the ants were a recent mutation. Harold asks to speak with Pat, asking her if she's found anything, though he flubs the radio sign-offs. Pat and the others find the nest, and she orders the pilot to fly the helicopter over as close as it can so she can take pictures of the giant ants that emerge. She also finally learns just what happened to Ed and the other missing people.
I remember that one time when Protomet went missing.
When was that? I don't remember that.
You weren't here. Had Harold suggested information about the ants labeled as top secret. Harold tried to explain that because the ants seem to hate the heat of the desert, most of them would not be in the nest at night, so they can't just go in and bomb the mutations. He tells the generals that the ants will likely all be in the nest at noon, and with the help of the general come up with a plan to deal with the ants once they're all together.
Smart idea. They begin firing bazookas on the nest, spreading phosphorus around the opening. A pair of soldiers head to the opening when an ant appears, but it's shot at and grenades filled with cyanide gas are thrown into the nest, causing the ant to retreat. Once the fire has died down, Ben and Bob prepare to enter the colony, and Pat asks to go along for scientific reasons. Despite Bob's protest, she and Harold convince him to let her come along.
Well, her father's right. Inside the nest, they find dead ants. Deeper in the nest, they also find an ant that isn't dead, and they use a flamethrower on it. Even deeper, they find more dead ants as well as eggs. They also find a pair of hatched eggs, and Pat knows those ants aren't dead, and she orders the men to burn everything to kill the ants that haven't hatched yet. The fire is really hot, hot, hot.
After all that, everyone goes over the new information, and Harold revealed that the eggs that did hatch were queen ants. He tells them they likely flew off before the humans arrived to destroy the nest. While he knows how far a normal queen ant can fly, Harold's clueless about how far these giants can.
That really makes you think, right? A meeting is held regarding the threat of the missing queen posts. Harold tells the assembled men about the behavior of ants and trying to relate how much of a threat the giant ants are. He tells them the queen never leaves the nest once they begin laying eggs, and that even ants go to war with each other. He also explains that if giant ants continue to reproduce, they could very easily wipe out mankind. After the meeting, the gathered men get to work secretly searching for the remaining ants, with keeping the search a secret from the press as well as people working to gather information for the search.
In Brownsville, Pat and Bob visit a civilian pilot in an insane asylum who claims to have seen flying saucers that looked like ants, which the doctors think are just illusions.
But we
After talking with the man, Bob tells the doctor to keep the man in the asylum, just as the doctor was about to release him. With the information from the pilot, Harold learns that the ants headed west, and that the ants may be as far as Panama or Santa Barbara, California, when he gets a phone call.
A queen begins laying eggs at sea aboard a freighter, killing most of the crew. They managed to locate the ship before the signal stopped and sank the freighter, killing all the ants aboard, though they managed to rescue very few survivors. Harold suspects that one of the queens had snuck aboard the ship while it was docked in Mexico. Pat explains the dead males were found and the most recent corpse was found in California, and Ben and Bob have been sent to investigate a sugar theft in Los Angeles.
After inspecting the heavily damaged train car, the pair question the security guard, then go to check out the body of the man who was killed in the vicinity of the theft, confirming that the giant ants were involved. They also learn that the dead man's kids are unaccounted for. Bob asks the mother for information about where the man was taking the boys, but she can't provide anything concrete.
With the help of the police, they know where the man's body was found, but since they still have no clue where the man was taking his boys. Bob asks if the police have picked up anyone in the area recently, and he and Ben question each one of them about what they saw that morning, but all but one have any useful information.
Well, probably got something there. They speak to the final person, a drunkard who claims to have seen airplanes that he doesn't think could fit the giant ants he sees at night in the river. The men realize the ants are hiding in the sewers. Investigating a sewer entrance, they find a toy plane, as well as the signature footprint, confirming that the ants are somewhere in the 700 miles of sewer beneath Los Angeles.
It's not going to be easy for them. A press conference is held to finally reveal the existence of them to the public, as the surviving queen ant is likely living under the city of Los Angeles, and that the city is now under martial law. The military prepare as the mother of the missing children arrive under the authorization of Ben and Bob. The military plan to set fire to the swarm once they locate the queen in order to ensure the ant's death. Despite one of the search teams not responding, the military then enter a storm drain to begin the search for the boys and the nest.
While searching the sewers, Ben hears something in one of the connecting tunnels and goes to investigate. Ben finds the boys alive, but also the ants, telling the boys they're going to get the boys out. Reinforcements are called in now that the nest has been located, and the soldiers begin using flamethrowers on them. Ben works to get the kids to safety as the ants try to fight back against the humans, who burn them to death.
Well, sometimes you gotta fight fire with fire.
But these aren't fire ants.
They are now! Ben helps the boys escape, but gets grabbed by one of the ants just as the military arrive and kills the ant, but it's too late for Ben. The military throw everything they have at the ants, and Harold orders the men to stop firing as they need to learn if the new queen egg has been laid to prevent a repeat of New Mexico. Yeah, you should do that, Protomate.
Me? Why me?
Because you're the perfect guy for the job.
Are you out of your mind?
I think you already know that answer.
After a structural collapse traps Bob in the nest, the soldiers begin digging through the debris, making it through and helping Bob fight off the ants. After finding the newly hatched queens, Harold and Pat are brought in to confirm that they found the egg chamber. The soldiers incinerate the queens and the last of the eggs. Bob wonders, since the ants were the results of atomic testing, if any other creatures like them might appear again someday.
Nobody knows, Robert.
That was Them, a classic giant monster movie.
The effects are great for the times,
I still think they look great.
but no doubt that the effects today are better.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm Tank.
I'm Protomac. Bye!
And remember, be safe out there.
We both care a lot for all of our fans, so you stay safe.